Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be covering the Real Madrid Bayern Munich instant classic. Real Madrid moving on to the Champions League final. Then we'll be talking about the the Copa America squad. Should Casemiro still be in it? We'll be talking about the controversy around the Real Madrid Bayern Munich game, some referee decisions that were very questionable, and then we'll be talking about Thomas Tuchel. He's now eliminated from Bayern, so opens up an opportunity for us to talk about his potential move to Manchester United, which is rumored, and whether or not that's a good move. And make sure you stick around for later in the show, where I'll be giving you my Euro 2024 top 5 power rankings. Before we start off, I would like to ask that you like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your questions get read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link to make sure your questions are on at gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. This puts your questions at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also really helps the show. So again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. I mean, we have to start talking about the Real Madrid Bayern Munich game. When it comes to football, that's the biggest storyline of today. I mean, what a comeback by Real Madrid. The manner that they do it, I'm telling you, this is footballing heritage. This is footballing heritage. This is footballing culture. Their ability to come back in these sort of situations is absolutely amazing. And it seems like they're never out of a game. Even in the situation that they're in, it seems like they're never out of a game. Never. And that's just it. They're never out of it. It's unbelievable the way that they're the grit that they have, the determination that they have, the spirit that they play with, the belief that they have, even when it's times that they're down 1-0 late in the game. I mean, the ability that they have and the calmness that they have, the composure that they have, it's just culture, it's just tradition. And that's kind of what it comes down to. In all of sporting tournaments, in my opinion, any sporting tournament, not just soccer, just in general, history and culture never matter more than in the Champions League. Even if you've been having a rough season, even if you're struggling, if you have that sort of culture, and if you're not good as good as the other team, not saying Real Madrid is not as good as Bayern, they are, but I'm just saying, like, for example, Napoli and AC Milan last year. You know, Napoli clearly better than AC Milan, but AC Milan has the culture, the history, the tradition, and they move on ahead of Napoli. So for me, it's an unbelievable accomplishment for Real Madrid, who are now in their quest to win the 15th Champions League, which is a great feat for them. As far as Bayern Munich, when it comes to this game, so the first leg finished 2-2, and I talked clearly about the opportunities I thought that was lost for Bayern, the way that they allowed Real Madrid back into the tie with Kim Min-jae's issues. So I made my thoughts abundantly clear on that. But regarding this game, you know, I did think Real Madrid overall throughout the 90 minutes were the better team. They were the one sustaining a lot more pressure against the back line. Bayern, they had a few opportunities on the counter, but Real Madrid, especially at the beginning for a 15-20 minute period to start off the second half, right before Alphonso Davies was able to break it was just Vinicius Jr. And every time he got on the ball, it just seemed like, uh-oh. And if you look at the stats, 19 shots to 8, 7 shots on target to 5, 58% possession to 42% possession. Now, yes, this is a miraculous comeback for Real Madrid, the way that they scored the 2 goals at the end. But it's not similar to the Man City Real Madrid game, because in the Man City Real Madrid game, that second leg, I'm talking going not last year, but 2 years on, where that second leg in Madrid, where they were up 1-0 due to Mahrez, and they allowed Bayern to come back. They allowed Real Madrid to come back. Man City were clearly the most dominant team. Real Madrid couldn't get a leg in for the first 176 minutes, 177 out of the 180. The first 176, 177 minutes of the game, the tie, they couldn't get anything going. But in those last 2-3 minutes, they turned it on just like that, and they came back and they took it to extra time. It wasn't like that this go around. Real Madrid had plenty of their chances. Real Madrid were better, but they got hit on the counter. Alphonso Davies cutting on his weak foot. Rudiger doesn't get tight enough. An amazing shot, and when Bayern scored that goal, wow, the relief that went on, that should go on the Bayern players not relief. Okay, now everything becomes tense because you're only defending a 1-goal lead, but the emotion, celebrate, looking at the Bayern sideline, looking at Thomas Tuchel going like this, it was beautiful to watch. It was very exciting in the moment, like, wow, are Bayern really going to pull this off in the Bernabeu? And then minutes go by, 75 minutes, and then Thomas Tuchel decides to start putting in center backs. Like, he brought on Kim Min-jae and took off, I believe, he took out a midfield player, an attacking player. It definitely made a defensive substitution. And they were they brought in, and that forced Alphonso Davies to kind of drop back into the left wing back role. And they were kind of playing like 6 at the back. It was very steep. They were soaking in. They were observing pressure. They brought in Choupo-Moting. I think they brought in Choupo-Moting in later on, but when they brought in Choupo-Moting for Kane, it was a like for like, and Kane was a good outlet in those situations when you're suffering. You take him out because you want to go with a little bit more energy, I guess, in pressing, I guess. But whenever you make those sort of substitutions, you're telling yourself like, yeah, we're just holding off. We don't want this, like, we just last 10 minutes, last 15 minutes, let's just get this out. Let's get out of here. That's the kind of mentality Thomas Tuchel had. He wanted to just seal the game right there instead of taking a more cautious approach. What if they do? What if Real Madrid are able to find the breakthrough? Then what do we do? What do we do in extra time? Or in that case, they conceded a second goal. How are we gonna get back into it? They just had nothing going for themselves. It was kind of like Thomas Tuchel put all his cards in the basket. Yeah, let's just pull out this 1-0. And, some people are criticizing that move because against Real Madrid, that's the wrong thing to do. Real Madrid they've shown that they can always come back in these situations. This is what this team been like in recent history. So that's been the most major criticism by Thomas Tuchel. Then there's people defending him, which, I can see this side too. Well, the individual mistakes made is not Thomas Tuchel's fault at the end of the day. Letting Vinicius play in that shot, not being tight on Vinicius to allow him to play in that ball. Manuel Neuer, one of the best goalkeepers in the history, making a mistake he's never made in his career that I remember. There was individual mistakes from Bayern. They could have sealed it off. Was Thomas Muller? He missed the ball in behind. I believe he missed Konrad Leimer, who then couldn't hit Pavlovic in, and it all because Thomas Muller missed the ball. That could have been 2-0 immediately after Real Madrid respond. So for me, as much as Thomas Tuchel may deserve, some criticism for that, at the end of the day, some individual mistakes did let him down. That goalkeeper mistake, that's a big mistake. That's not Thomas Tuchel's fault. I do have to say, whenever Real Madrid were able to get that breakthrough through Joselu off that Manuel Neuer mistake, I was sitting next to three of my friends, and one was a Madrid fan, the other was a Bayern fan. The Madrid fan is going crazy. The Bayern fan is like distressed, and I look into their direction. And I'm like, they're all like, one is celebrating, one is in distress, the other one is just reacting. And I'm just like, this game is not going to extra time. and I knew Real Madrid were gonna pull it out, and many people knew. Like this just hit. It's just Real Madrid. I knew that someone was gonna find that second goal. It took Joselu to initially it was called offsides, but they didn't call it off. They allowed it to play. Then after they called it, that's the right way to approach it. We'll address the controversy later on to the show. Don't worry about that. We will address it. They did the right thing. They reviewed it. He was on. Rudiger was on. I believe it was Pavlovic keeping him on, and then so goal for Real Madrid, and then from there on, just Bayern. It took them until the first 7-8 minutes of stoppage time. They couldn't get anything going because Kane is on the bench. They have no real outlet. They got guys like Choupo-Moting in. They have extra defenders in. And my thing is, why didn't Tuchel send the center backs forward? You don't have real strikers in. You're not gonna swing crosses into Choupo-Moting and stuff, so swing in. Send Kim Min-jae and Matthias de Ligt up in the box and playing long balls. The one time they did it, it led almost to a goal. Whether or not it should have been a goal, we'll discuss that later with the offsides and all that. But why didn't they do that from the beginning, from right away, right as soon as they conceded that second goal? I guess, they're kind of shell-shocked and all that. But, yeah. And then, regarding Thomas Tuchel, though, the one thing you might criticize him for is there was a 10-15 minute period. Every time Vinicius got the ball and he was going up against Kimmich on the left-hand side, it was absolutely a mismatch. And I feel like he could have done more to adjust. Obviously, in that moment, it didn't lead to a goal, but he could have done more to help Kimmich in that situation, because every time Vinicius got on the ball, every time Real Madrid got on the ball, it was straight to Vinicius. It was tell Vinicius, get to work. But Real Madrid off to the Champions League final. It's amazing for Ancelotti. It's amazing for these players. They continue to build their legacy, and Real Madrid are doing what Real Madrid does on their quest to their 15th Champions League. Before we take a break, I'd like to let y'all know that we'll be talking about the Casemiro Brazil situation. Their squad is going to be announced this Friday, so we're going to talk about whether or not he should be in the squad and Brazil's outlook into Copa America. So stay tuned for that.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on their fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind.
Before the break, we talked about the Bayern Munich Real Madrid leg one game. Later on, we'll kind of address the controversies. But before I start, I'd like to ask that y'all please like and follow the show. We get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your questions get read on the air, please use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions at the top of the list so that I see it, and also really helps grow the show. So again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. But we have to start off with the Casemiro. So Casemiro has really been struggling at Manchester United. I mean, that's just the truth, honestly. He's been struggling at Manchester United. There's been issues with Manchester United all year. They haven't been playing to their best of football, but Casemiro has been playing pretty bad. So Jamie Carragher, Liverpool legend, saying this should be his final games ever in professional football. He should be going to MLS or Saudi or something like that. Took a harsh stance on Casemiro. And when he made the move from Real Madrid, there was almost a why for me. Like, what is this exactly going from Real Madrid to Bayern? Like, then because I couldn't see really a potential fall off. Even last year, he was pretty good for stretches. Had some moments where you were like, why are you conceding that dumb yellow card and getting suspended? He had some moments like that, but generally throughout the season, he was very, very good, in my opinion. But I had these thoughts. Why make that move from Madrid to Barcelona? Maybe it was him foreshadowing his career. He's on the downside. For me, we never know. That's only within Casemiro. Maybe he just wanted to go to a new city. I'm not going to speculate, but maybe that could have been the reason. And yes, his performances this season, there have been times he's been atrocious. There's been times there where you actually really where you question his desire, the way in the penalty shootout against Coventry, the way he just chipped it at the beginning. It just made it seem like the body language, what he did, it just made it seem like he didn't care, which that's a dangerous accusation to make because, he is a professional football player getting paid a lot of money, and maybe he was just trying to, catch the goalkeeper off guard and stuff. But there was a kind of a sense, just looking at it, like he doesn't care. He losing the ball in bad areas, and then he's just getting overrun. He doesn't have the lungs to keep up with these athletes right now that are playing in the Premier League. He doesn't have the lung capabilities. He's always going to be a brilliant player on the ball. That's not going to go away, whether or not he gets older or this or that or that. He's always going to be brilliant on the ball. He's always going to have quality. He's always going to have a good passing range, all that. But it was his legs and his lungs, and he lost the ball a lot in bad areas. I mean, the way he lost the ball on the edge of the box against Crystal Palace, that's just a disgrace, in my opinion. For a Manchester United caliber player, they shouldn't be making those sort of mistakes. And this is a guy that's won multiple Champions Leagues, and he's had a very, very, an amazing career. And the way this season has gone, the downfall, it's just really, really bad to watch, really sad to watch for a player of his caliber. And the question is, should he be in the Brazil squad? He wasn't in the last Brazil squad whenever they played against England and Spain because of injury. But this is Dorvial Juniors, the new manager. That was their first squad. He has a big decision to make regarding Casemiro. Big decision to make, in my opinion, because they have sort of this new kind of influation of midfielders coming in. It was Paquetá, Bruno Guimaraes, Douglas Luiz, on and on and on. A lot of Premier League midfielders, that are an option for Dorvial Jr. So there's a big decision to make for him, for Brazil, and whether or not. And it really comes down to whether Dorvial Jr., Brazil manager, believes that Casemiro has a role to play in this team, even if he's not starting. Because that's leadership and all that is huge. In these kind of tournaments, it's going to be a kind of an inexperienced team Brazil takes in the Copa America. There's going to be a few young guys, So whether or not he values the fact that Casemiro has experience, so even if he's not starting, will Casemiro be okay with not starting? That also takes into it. Will Casemiro be okay with starting? They'll obviously have those conversations. And this team doesn't have experience, so does he have value with him being on the bench? That's also a big question mark. There's the guys that are with this Brazil squad. They have their stars. They have their Vinicius. They have the Rodrigo. They have the Richarlison, Rafinha. Gabriel Jesus. He's 50-50 in and out. Whether or not he's going to be in or not, I personally think he probably should get in. Lucas Paquetá, Bruno Guimaraes, Bremer, Arsenal Gabriel, Marquinhos, Alisson. So they have quality, but this is Brazil. This is Brazil. They have quality, but there's gonna be a tense fight in the midfield. You got João Gomez playing at Wolves. I already spoke about Paquetá. I already spoke about Douglas Luiz. I already talked about Bruno Guimarães. You have Andre. I'm not much familiar with him from Fluminense, 22-year-old. So they have midfielders that they're going to try to influx in. And does Casemiro have a thing? I think because of his experience, the fact that he's valuable on the bench, I think it'll be important to take him. He can give you a game, maybe you can bring him in with like, because he doesn't have the lungs that he had when he was younger. But maybe if you put in someone that's like with some, with some running capacity next to him, like personally, I don't think he'll work with Bruno Guimarães. I don't think that'll work. But maybe playing him with a guy like Douglas Luiz, even though they're kind of similar, but they can be kind of like a double pivot. Douglas Luiz does have a little bit of those legs. I think that would work. João Gomez, I like him a lot. But yeah, I think they really should take him, in my opinion, just because he can provide you experience. You can bring him on if you're like 60, 70 minutes in. Maybe you're defending a 1-goal lead. He's the perfect guy you can bring on. He can hold the ball. He can, make relief for his teammates. Hold the ball for 1 or 2 seconds. Find someone. Just take the pressure off. I think he should still be in this. He shouldn't be in the starting 11. As of right now, maybe he goes to Brazil, he gets to training and he just proves, he's just at a different level. It's just Man United is the issue and he's still at the top level. Maybe, you never know. Sometimes players, they just play better for their national team. At the end of the day, sometimes players, they just play better for their national team. So maybe he could just do that and he shows in training if he's capable, yeah. But as of right now, in the form he's in, I would still take him. I just wouldn't put him in the starting 11 and, I'd take advantage of the experience that he provides. And as far as Brazil Copa America, I spoke about their squad. They're very, very talented. They're very, very talented. But they got the World Cup champions that they have to play. They got a Colombia team in amazing form. They got a Uruguay team in good form. Quality players. So it'll be very interesting this summer to see Brazil. They're in a transition, they're in a semi-transition. Brazil, Neymar is not going to be in the squad because of injury, so they're going to have some inexperience. They don't have that, they don't have that star. I guess you could say Vinicius, yes, but the Brazil opens up their Copa America on June 24th. They play Costa Rica in SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. By the way, the Copa America being in America. Then they take on Paraguay in the Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, and then they take on Colombia. The major star of their group. Besides them, they take on Colombia at Levi Stadium, San Francisco, July 2nd. And by the way, just a wild card in it, whoever finished second place in that group, or this group is matched up with the U.S. men's national team group. So, the first place of the U.S. men's national team group will take on the second place of this group. The second place in that the U.S. men's national team group will take on the second. So there's a good chance that USA is probably going to play either Brazil or Colombia. So that's just a fun fact, wildcard fact, and it's a scary fact if you're a U.S. men's national team fan, because they are both very, very good teams. But yes, we're going to take a short break, but after the break, we were going to discuss the controversy, the refereeing decisions regarding the Real Madrid Bayern Munich match. Stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network. Now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Before the break, we discussed Casemiro, Brazil squad. Should he be in? Should he be now? And what's the outlook for Brazil at this summer's upcoming Copa America in the United States? Well, we gotta go back to our main topic of the day, the main topic around the entire world, the Bayern Munich Real Madrid game, and specifically, we gotta discuss the referees. We have to discuss the referees in this game, and there was some decisions that people were talking about, but the main one, the one that really for me, the only one that deserves a conversation. Where in the 97th-ish minute, deep into stoppage time, they play in a long ball. Mazraoui wins the second ball, and Delict hits it home, goal, but the referee blows his whistle about 2-3 seconds earlier, calling offsides after the linesman raised his flag, and no goal, because at the end of the day, if the referee blows his whistle, he blows his whistle no matter what. So the goal is chalked off. We end up looking at it in a replay, and we don't see exactly the semi-audited lines or anything because it doesn't go to VAR, but just based on our eye test, it just seemed like Mazraoui was on, and but there's nothing that they can do because there's no VAR. I mean, there's no VAR. They can't intervene. The referee blew the whistle. For me, it's a big mistake, and it's a mistake that can happen at this level. First of all, I have to say Marchiliak. I can't pronounce him, but the main referee, the assistant referees, especially the main referee, I'm a huge fan of them. I think he's a brilliant referee. He's refereed Champions League final. He refereed the World Cup final, actually. For me, I love his body language. I love his, he's very definitive. He's very assertive. He makes brilliant calls throughout the game. But today, not only the assistant lineman, but he got it horribly wrong. They were talking about, Thomas Tuchel was talking about earlier, the linesman did the exact same thing, raising his flag early on the Alphonso Davies play. That ended up being offside, so no one talks about it. But if that wasn't offside, that could have been more controversial. But then this one, he raises his flag, and when you're the new modern football in this sort of situation, it's clear that you have videos protecting you. So if there's any sort of doubt, any type of doubt, you have to keep your flag down. Any doubt, you keep your flag down and you let the video assistant handle it. Now, if you think it's offside, you let the play get, finish. You let any sort of attack that might be happening finish. Then you put your flag, you signal your flag, you signal the offsides to the referee will blow his whistle, bam. Then VAR can come and intervene because the attack is over. They allowed whatever needed to happen. If it does lead to a goal, you could quickly put the flag down there. Now VAR, it's all in VAR's hands. But what you do is when you put the flag up early, and on top of that, the referee, who also made a mistake in this situation because the referee has every right. He's the main man. He could say nope, wave off the flag, or just ignore it, let the play finish, then blow his whistle. He doesn't do that either. So this is compounded. The assistant referee's mistake is compounded by the center referee blowing his whistle in that situation. It's two huge mistakes that are forced this to happen. And then and De Ligt's goal does not count. Bayern Munich is fuming. De Ligt is saying this is unacceptable. The assistant referee apologized. Thomas Tuchel also saying this is unacceptable. This is a decision that took a lot of nerve not to raise your flag, and it was the wrong decision. I agree with everything that they're saying. I mean, it's just so clear. Like, if there's any sort of doubt, you're seeing that close. You're seeing that at play. How can you how can both guys make a mistake? How? And this is not the only time Real Madrid has has had calls. I'm not saying it's rigged or anything like that. I'm not one of those ridiculous conspiracy theorists. But when you go into this happened in Bayern Munich, when you go into the Bernabeu, when you have 80, 90,000, against the referee starts seeing things, they start feeling things, they're emotional, they're human beings at the end of the day. And, it affects them. But yeah, I mean, it was a bad mistake. Ancelotti coming after the game saying, maybe not, but Kimmich flopped on one of the goals Real Madrid scored but got called off. Kimmich flopped, so this for that. Look, I'm a huge fan for Carlo Ancelotti, and he is defending his club. He's defending the win, all that. I understand completely, and it's emotional when you're saying things like that. But I believe it was Nacho. Nacho, 2 full hands pushed Kimmich in the face. I mean, whether or not it's a flop or not, that's a foul. Maybe it's a flop, maybe it's not. But 2 hands to the face. I mean, are you serious? Whether or not it's a flop, it don't even matter. That's a push to the face. It's a foul. I don't know what Carlo Ancelotti is trying to say there. It's a foul. So I don't agree with that comment. But I understand where he's coming from. Obviously, trying to defend this team, all that. I understand where he's coming from. But I understand too, why they're so angry. I mean, how to be angry. Thomas Tuchel said after the game, he called it disastrous and felt like a betrayal. And also another thing is they're not calling the initial offsides on Mazraoui, but they're calling the discussion is about whether or not one of the other players interfered with play. It's about interfering with play, and he's not even offside, so that renders the fact that he's interfering with play. So for me, there's just so many mistakes that happen. You cannot call offsides in that situation. No way. He's not even offsides. And how do you not keep your flag down in that situation? It is a huge mistake in this kind of level, and it shows these guys are human at the end of the day, and they will make mistakes, but you have to keep your flag down. It's compounded. And again, is it the Bernabeu? Is it this? Is it that? I don't know. Look, is that the reason why Real Madrid are going to the final? No, Real Madrid, they do what they do best. They come back, all that. That's not why. I'm not trying to discredit the win by Real Madrid, but that decision is a very, very bad decision. And with the training and everything that's done, those kind of mistakes cannot happen. Those mistakes at that level cannot happen. Before we go to break, I'd like to let y'all know that the next segment is going to be on the Thomas Tuchel. We're going to return talking about Thomas Tuchel and whether or not he is a good fit for Manchester United. So stay tuned after the short break. And stay tuned after the short break.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Before the break, we talked about the controversial decisions in the Bayern Munich Real Madrid game. We'll now discuss whether or not Thomas Tuchel is a good fit for Manchester United. The links are growing. The rumors are growing. Thomas Tuchel, him and Bayern a few weeks ago, about a month ago now actually, they've announced that they're going to be parting ways with each other, a mutual parting. And, maybe if Thomas Tuchel was able to win the Champions League, maybe, they both changed their minds, I guess, the way Xavi changed his mind. I don't know. That's not even a discussion right now. But Manchester United, it's looking like, we talked about it yesterday, as days goes on, it looks like, Erik ten Hag's future at Manchester United might be, running out. It might be a change coming very, very soon. It might be a firing coming very, very soon. And Thomas Tuchel has stated he wants to go back to the Premier League. He wants to coach the Premier League. He loves the Premier League. He talks about feeling love in the Premier League that he doesn't feel in Germany. The atmosphere being better, just everything being better in the Premier League. He said it, not me. And so I think him going to Manchester United is a interesting move. Obviously, as a Chelsea fan, it's disappointing because he won a Champions League with us, and I don't want to see him going against Manchester United, a rival. But he is the front runner, according to reports. There's other options that they're looking at, like Gareth Southgate, which for me it's laughable. Gareth Southgate is an international manager who is not even the best international manager, who's had a crazy talented core in England, but tends to play football that's not pleasing and hasn't took England over the top the way a top manager should be able to do. I think Thomas Tuchel was able to prove what he did at Chelsea, winning the Champions League. He can make a team better despite the sum of their parts not being as good as other teams, but he's able to make that run and go. He took this Bayern team on a Champions League run. They didn't do well in Bundesliga, but that's but he's a good manager. The thing is, Erik ten Hag, they talk about Erik ten Hag, and a lot of the criticism around him is not just the results, but it's also the play style and all that. But Thomas Tuchel is not the most, let's go and press. He's not like a typical German manager, like a Nagelsmann, a Ralf Rangnick, a Jurgen Klopp, play high line, play heavy. No, he played a back five at Chelsea. They played very, very strong defensively and played in transition, and they were willing to soak in and observe and then play and counter. So if United fans, if that's what the kind of manager that they want, I'm just warning you, Manchester United, you're not going to get the Ajax way or anything, some like crazy, beautiful attacking football or none of that. You're going to get a Thomas Tuchel that is going to play depending on his opposition. If they're going up against a Man City, you're going to observe and you're going to be, he's going to play a low block, not a low block, but he's going to be willing to play defensive, keep everything stable, and then play football. I'm not saying this is Diego Simeone or Jose Mourinho or anything, but they don't play. Thomas Tuchel, never at Chelsea did we have some sort of crazy attacking scheme. We relied heavily on our defense, not conceding goals, and then being able to play off that, especially because we didn't really have a number 9 that can bag in goals. So it's not like we could get into these end-to-end games with a Man City or anything like that, because we did miss a lot of opportunities. Now Thomas Tuchel being the preferred replacement, okay. Some of the other options, Southgate, it seems like he's now actually not as willing also. But for me, I think that's a horrible move. And then Zidane, forget about it. Like, stop bringing up his name. He's only going to coach in his career Real Madrid or France. Any other club, forget about it. Forget about it. Maybe one of the few clubs that he played for, like a Juventus or something, but that's only if Juventus can get back to the top level, because Zidane is not some sort of tactical mastermind. He's someone that'll be able to, motivate the players. He's someone that understands that the talent that they have and let them do what they do, which is there's a skill in that. Don't get me wrong, there's a skill in that. I'm not saying that, but he's not going to come in and revitalize Manchester United. Absolutely not. That's just not what he is. It's rumored that the owners really favor Tuchel over Southgate, Zidane. Nagelsmann appears to be on the short list, but he just signed an extension to 2026 World Cup in Germany, and I don't really, I think he's kind of like happy with his German job and low-key, and he wants to stay there. No, I mean, for me, Thomas Tuchel is clearly the best, especially to Thomas Tuchel. He's had success in the Premier League, not based on winning the Premier League, because he didn't, but Chelsea did have some relative success in the Premier League under Thomas Tuchel. The way we were able to come back into top four the first year he came in, winning the Champions League, and then the next year we finished third, yes, but we were very injury ravaged. It was an injury ravaged Chelsea team. I'm talking, there was players going down left and right, historic amount of injuries. But Tuchel was able to, and then we had the issues with Lukaku doing the interview after I got injured and came back, saying, questioning Tuchel, saying I don't like the way he plays me or whatever. Obviously that's loosely translated because he did it in Italian. So that came out, and there was some issues. They were going again through the because there were sanctions under Abramovich, and it was during the Russia-Ukraine situation. So he was saying, if we have to walk to the stadium, I'm gonna walk. They were dealing with a lot of issues that year, and he was still able to steady the ship and finish third place in the team for me, which was a great achievement. And it showed. Like the next year, we started off slow. They fired him, and then we went on to do horrible, just complete horrible. We haven't been the same since. He even despite this, not just winning the Champions League, he had a successful run at Chelsea. He did a very successful run at Chelsea. He's a very, very good manager. I love the way he comes off in press conferences. His personality, his first season coming in, Callum Hudson-Odoi. He brings in Callum Hudson-Odoi. Callum Hudson-Odoi doesn't, by the way, it's a Callum Hudson-Odoi he kind of revitalized when he came in, and he played him a lot. He didn't like what Callum Hudson-Odoi did, and he takes him out. He subs in someone, he subbed out. This not being able to afraid to make those big decisions. Hearing him, he's a very, very good manager. He's fearless. He's not scared to go up. He beat Manchester City 3 times. Keep in mind, when we won the Champions League, we beat them to knock them out of the FA Cup, and then we defeated them. Actually, I don't know which one came first of the two, but we knocked them out of the FA Cup. Then we beat them in the Premier League, and then we beat them in the Champions League final. So he's had success against a top manager like Pep Guardiola, who's going to be in the league still next year. And I think he'll get along with the Manchester United fan base. I think the personalities mesh. It's just the style of football. Do the style of football mesh? Are they willing to accept playing in transition in certain moments? Are they willing to accept the fact that, in certain games, going up against Manchester City, maybe in Europe, going against like Real Madrid or something, we're going to sit back, we're going to observe, we're going to play on the counter. Today, whenever they play against Bayern, they sat back, they observed pressure. They got the one goal, he slaps on Kim Min-jae. They kind of go into like a back 5, a back 6, just pure solely observing pressure. It ended up not working for them. They ended up getting eliminated, of course, but still, that's the kind of manager Thomas Tuchel is. Whenever we went on a run against Champions League, Chelsea, our teams, you struggled to get into our box. I mean, we were playing so tight, playing so compact. the back line, the back five, they're all tight together. The double sixes with the Kante and the Kovacic, or the Kante and Jorginho was playing next to Kante. They were in the holes between the center backs and in between the middle center back and the outside center backs. So they were very, very tight. They were very, very compact. There was not that much space to play in. And then into transition, they were just so deadly because teams would have to bring numbers forward to try to number with the amount of people that we had playing so compact. Teams put in their fullbacks forward, put an extra midfielder making a late run into the box, and then when Chelsea would retain it, they took advantage of all those players coming forward and where they were deadly in transition. So that's the kind of football you're gonna get with Thomas Tuchel, but it's gonna win you games, it's gonna win you trophies, and I think it will be a good move, but I don't think it's the best move that they can make because of the fact that, and also Tuchel is also like, when it comes to the board and stuff, he's an easy manager to deal with. This is not like a Conte or a Mourinho or something that comes in. Like, he's an easy, for the board, he'll be an easy man to deal with. I know he had his falling out with the new owners coming in, the new, team coming in. But, he is a fairly easy guy to deal with. He's not a guy Thomas Tuchel's not a guy that's going to come in and be like, you have to spend this 100 million on this player, 70 million on this player, 80 million on this player. That's the only way I can play my kind of football. The same way Ten Hag is kind of doing at Manchester United right now. And he's getting those signings and they're still not playing football. Thomas Tuchel, he'll be able to, he's not afraid to, he's not going to be that big of a headache. And also, the way Manchester United has gone through injury crisis this year, I just think Ten Hag's management, his keeping the locker room together, though, overcoming these injuries, that kind of, it's been bad. While Thomas Tuchel, I think, will be, the opposite. So I think Thomas Tuchel is definitely a better fit than Ten Hag. And I think there's a lot of positives there. There's also some things, like I talked about, play style. But apart from that, he's a brilliant manager. He's a great manager. So for me, I like this move, in my opinion. We're going to take a short break. After the break, we're going to be discussing my top 5 power rankings of Euro 2024. I'm very excited. So after the short break, we'll be back. Euro 2024. Wow, I'm so excited. Before the segment, we talked about the issue whether or not Thomas Tuchel should be a good fit for Manchester United. We now discuss my power rankings for Euro 2024. I don't know if I've told y'all this. I'm new to this network. So I'm new to this audience, but I am a huge fan of international football. Y'all are going to see the best and most happy Emran this summer because international football is what I love. I love talking about it. I love analyzing it. I love watching it. I love debating it. I love seeing countries go up against countries. It's absolutely amazing to me. So I always try to sprinkle in once every couple of days talking about this upcoming international tournaments, my power rankings for Euro 2024. Look, this is going to be my top 5. This is my opinion. I absolutely know this. People are not going to agree with me, especially with what some of my opinions. But I just want to let y'all know I'm gonna say it's the 6th place team right now because they're not gonna be in my top 5, and I want to explain why, because I don't want to just talk about the top 5 and just say, oh wow, why didn't you have this team in? So I mean, I do have a top 5. I don't have England in my top 5. I have them at 6. I just want to explain why I have them 6. Yes, they have brilliant, talented players. Don't get me wrong, all across the pitch. But Gareth Southgate, I'm not a fan of Gareth Southgate. As I made it clear in the last segment, I think he's not a manager that makes the sum of his parts better. He's a manager, that's, that'll play, sometimes you could question his style of play, and he'll always be a manager that's, that's really just there to keep the ship steady. There's brilliant managers that make their teams better than they are, and he doesn't do that. He doesn't elevate this England team. They've never won a game that they shouldn't have in international competition. In fact, you could argue they should have got past Croatia in that semifinal just based on their players, but Croatia does have that girth and all that. Don't get me wrong, but for me, I think this England team is kind of obviously been overrated by the media, and despite that they have talent, I just trust these other teams better than them because of the quality, their style of play, and the fact that they have managers that are fancy over Gareth Southgate. Number 5, I'm gonna have to go with Germany. Now, this is a Germany team that struggled a lot throughout, through the preparation for the Euros and last World Cup. They really struggled the last couple of international competitions. It's been really bad for the last 3 international competitions for their standards. Getting eliminated in the group stages in 2 World Cups, sandwiched in between, getting eliminated in the round of 16 by England at the Euros at Wembley. For me, but Nagelsmann coming in kind of shaky at first, but then they go to France and they beat France national team. They play very well in that game, in my opinion. They start off with a goal from Florian Wirtz. It was a very good goal. Then they go on to beat Netherlands 2-1, and this is a home Euros for them. The whole world coming together, and the whole nation coming together. They're home. They didn't have much support at the World Cup, partly because of the Qatar issue, also a lack of belief within the team. But I think now, based on the last 2 results, maybe they start off, they have a good June camp before the Euros going up against Ukraine and Greece. I think they're slowly starting to get to advance back. And I just think they play very good football. I mean, just naturally, they always play good football. And if they're able to find a breakthrough early, I think they're able to get goals in, which that's the main thing. They are goals, being able to get goals in for them. They struggle goal scoring wise. They don't really have that number 9 Fulkrug. He's pretty decent, but he's not like their previous 9s. If they're able to do that, I think Germany, with the support of the home crowd, they have talented players. Nagelsmann plays good football. I think they can make a run. Number 4, I'd have to go number 4. Who did I have number 4? I'm kind of blanking right now. Oh yeah, I had Belgium. Belgium. There's a lot of, they're past their prime, the golden generation. And yes, the golden generation, you have to say it's over for them. That previous golden generation, this is kind of a newer team in transition, new manager. Dominic Tedesco, who they play good football, but look at the form that they were on in qualifiers. After that disaster World Cup campaign, the form that they were on, Romelu Lukaku, he's been good at Roma. He's fit. He's scoring a lot of goals. He scored a record-breaking 14 goals in qualifying. They sweep through qualifying. In amazing fashion. It's a rejuvenated squad. It's a young squad. There's young talent all over the pitch. You got a Jeremy Doku in that attacking 3. You got Trossard, who's been very good for Arsenal. This is a team. They have quality. You can't sleep on the quality within this team. They played England. They played England at Wembley 2-2. Took a last minute from Bellingham. They played decent in that game. But yeah, with Onana, Tielemans, Mangala, they got experience with Vertonghen still playing at the back. De Bruyne, the best player in the world. Also, they have quality still in this squad, and they have a belief, and they're rejuvenated. For me, that's scary because there's still quality in this team. They're all rejuvenated. So for me, I still think they have more than enough to make a run. Despite this being past their golden generation. Well, we're running out of time. So I'm going to go number 3. Got to be... no. I said Germany. I want Belgium, Germany. Okay, well, I actually had Belgium at 4 and Germany at 3. I mixed those two up. I want Germany at 5. I actually have Germany at 3. I had Belgium at 4. I had Spain at 5. So I have Spain 5, Belgium 4, Germany 3, Portugal 2, France 1. So let me get back to Spain, who actually have below Germany and Belgium. Yeah, I got this completely wrong. Sorry about that. But Spain, I have number 5. I have Spain 5 because they got, for me, they're a talented team. Luis de la Fuente, ever since they lost to Scotland, he's turned it around for them. They went on a 6-game winning streak. They play good attacking football. Tiki-taka, as always. That's always how Spain play. They do have some injuries like Xavi, but they have a talented team. They have experience with Alvaro Morata and Rodri, who's one of the best players in the world. And then they also have young stars like Pedri, Pau Cubarsí, and Lamine Yamal. So I think the experience, the youth, the talent, their quality. I think Spain, they're going to be a threat at the Euros. So I actually have them 5, and then Germany being at home and all, Belgium, I had Spain at 5 and then Belgium at 4 because of the rejuvenation, then Germany being at home and stuff. Now I have to go with the top 2. I got Portugal 2 and Portugal, man, quality all over the pitch. It's been amazing. They replaced Fernando Santos, a defensive manager. They brought in Roberto Martinez. I'm a fan of Roberto Martinez. I think some of the credit he gets is unfair, but he hasn't really proved it for Belgium. They didn't win a tournament, but he's still a good manager. They play good football. They had an amazing qualifiers, and they have one of the most talented teams in the Euros. Just goes on and on. Rafael Leao, João Felix, Ronaldo playing amazing in Saudi League. Whether or not he should be in the squad, whether or not he should be in 11 is another question, but he's still an option. Gonzalo Ramos is an option. João Felix, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes. Defensively, they got Ruben Diaz, they got Nuno Mendes, they got Rafael Guerrero, they got João Cancelo. They got talent, they got quality all over the team, and they're on a good run. So of course they're always a threat. And then number 1 is it's not even close. Even though they lost to Germany, which did raise some eyebrows because France, my number 1, and they did lose to Germany, and that did raise some eyebrows, but they're still, the best team, the steepest squad, and probably of all time, Mbappe, Dembele, Coman, Giroud, Griezmann, just goes on and on and on and on. Tchouaméni, Camavinga, defensively, they got Saliba, they got Upamecano, they got Konate. It just goes on and on and on and on. Mike Maignan, they got Marcus Thuram, Colomani. Dude, they're the best team in the world. They're the most talented team in the world. Didier Deschamps is an international manager. They haven't won the Euros yet, so they're going to be very, very motivated because they won a World Cup. They could have won another, but they haven't won a Euros. They missed out on the Euros in 2016 under Deschamps. Deschamps is a proven manager. He's a tournament manager. And for me, France has to be number 1 on my power rankings. Doesn't mean that they'll 100% win it, but they're an amazing team. They're so talented all around. I didn't even mention Mbappe, which is crazy. Mbappe, the best player, probably the best player in the world. If not, I said De Bruyne earlier is probably the best player in the world. But if he's not the best player in the world, he's definitely in the top 3. This is an amazing team. So for me, they have to be number 1. But yeah. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful day.